Hello, welcome to Actual Play Apocalypse Keys. We are here, we are back. This is the same crew that played one amazing season, and now we're back for another one. Welcome everybody who's joining us in chat. This is very, very exciting for many reasons. One, because I love everybody here. The two, because Apocalypse Keys is being published by Evil Hat Productions. What? And sorry, Jamie, I should have said your thunder. But you can now playtest this game, this very same version of the game that we're playing right now, right here. And I just put a link in chat for it. I'm Sean Nittner. I use he, him pronouns, and I will be returning as Ember, the very serious and somber and very in love summoned. It's such a special occasion that I decided to bust out my one box of special Girl Scout cookie Thin Mints. That's I'm breaking out the Thin Mints for today's game, so I'm very excited. How about you, Jen?
Hello, I'm Jen Martin. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at 10penjen. I'm playing Civis the Found, who was a statue found at the bottom of the ocean. No big deal. I have some telepathic powers and some power absorption. So that's a lot of fun. I'm very excited about this game, and I'm very excited that we are fast forwarding a little while. And we're gonna see how some things have been going, namely a romance that's been happening for a while. Morgan, what about you?
Hi, I'm Morgan. My pronouns I they them and she her interchangeably. You can find me on all the socials at Serena Bezos, and I'm coming back as Celine. Was once I think it was the Pure. Now it
That's
is
correct.
the Surge. Because things change and we love it for it. Who is just a little bit of a fallen angel, sacrificial lamb. Had some a lot of clones. No big deal. The usual stuff. So I'm excited to see where we're going with this and how she's been. Jamie, take us home.
Hi, so I'm Jamie. I'm very happy to see all y'all and people in chat. Hello. And so, I am. Gosh, I was gonna say, I was gonna mysteriously talk about how I'm working on Apocalypse Keys, but now we can be out of the open. Yay! So Apocalypse Keys, like Sean said, is an open playtest. I'm so excited. I've been working on this game. I realized when we made the announcement almost a year to the day, I still remember I was just sitting there going I want to make a PPTA game, and my eyes just fell on the special omnibus Hellboy comic book edition that I had, and I was and then so it started from all of that. Now it really is its own game. I feel like the Hellboy influence is still at the core and at the heart of this game, but it's still very much its own thing now, and I'm really excited to get back together with this group. Yeah, so with that in mind, I'd like to let everybody know that we retweaked, we rebuilt parts of our characters. I pulled the rug from under, especially under the Pure. The Pure, now the Surge, went through a lot of changes. We added some bits and bobs. I'm very excited to have everybody see what the changes are, and we'll go over them together. But also, I think importantly, is a previously on Apocalypse Keys. I'll just summarize what we did last time, and then we'll get into what's been happening. So last time, our agents were sent to investigate what was going on with, let me read this now. The Mechanized Youth Squad of Tactical Estological Research, Investigation and Operations, a branch of United Security, otherwise known as Mysterious. So for folks who have a copy of the open playtest, what we played last time was the Missing Link mystery. So that's what we went through. And so basically our group was sent to Island Zero, which was once known as the island of Quicado. It had an inactive volcano that was mostly covered by water. It was large enough that what reaches past the water is just absolutely huge. This was also quite conveniently the same volcano that Celine was sacrificed at. So we found out. Just a funny little coincidence. And what they had to deal with last time was an interdimensional rift that was open 20 years prior, where huge colossal monsters would come through. And so that's where our teen pilots and their huge Halimau, these colossal monsters from the rift who decided to protect Earth instead of destroy it, would push back the rift monsters, hold them back. But one of the pilots went missing, and that's what our division agents had to uncover and figure out. There was a lot going on. We found out that Ember's mom was involved, as well as Civ's creator, and we found clones of Celine also, some of which sacrificed themselves so that Ember could get more information. It was a really big mess. If you'd like to catch up, you can check out the video on demand on YouTube at Actual Play. But don't worry, you don't need to know any of that to jump in and enjoy today's session and this season. So, and with that in mind, we're going to come back to the division where we are now. So this division is the biggest branch that we have. I'm so sorry, the trains are like going crazy in my area. So, and out here in the Arctic, and this division has 5 oracles that, we should meet these oracles, right? So these mysterious beings who have seen the event that's coming, and we know that that means that the apocalypse truly is nigh, and that's what you're holding back. This division has portals and gates that provide transport. Authorization is required. You met.
I wanted to add one detail about the oracles.
Sure.
The number of oracles that predict the apocalypse is kind of like the way a fire is rated. So if they're like, oh, it's a 4-alarm fire, which means that there's like 4 stations that have all triggered their alarms to a 5-alarm apocalypse means all 5 oracles have predicted the same apocalypse. So if only one of them does it, it's still a possible apocalypse, but it's not a definite apocalypse. And I just love
it's just a smaller apocalypse. Like,
right,
you know,
right. This is just a 2 oracle apocalypse. We can probably bang it out in the weekend. It's no big deal. So
Absolutely.
anyway, that was just a note that I thought was a fun detail from our
Yeah. Super cool. I love that so much. Yeah, and so also we know that you are familiar with Ma'am Agnes. That's all we know them as. I have a feeling Ma'am Agnes doesn't even let people know her last name. And so
I know she reads romance novels.
She does.
She
absolutely does. And she's the keeper of the portal gates. And you all report to Arctis, the liaison between division and all other branches of authority, who also happens to be a large polar bear that can talk and is really into singing bowls and incense and stuff like that. And aside from that, let's see, we have a few other characters that we're hopefully going to interact with today. So it's been a while. It's been 6 months not for us. I don't think it's been 6 months. I don't know what time is in the real world, but in this world, I know that it's been 6 months since you all returned from Island Zero. And you returned with not only yourselves, but you were able to evacuate everyone on the island as it was about to collapse in itself as the rift portal was getting bigger and bigger. So which means that we have these huge Halima, which are like colossal Godzilla kaiju size creatures who are now staying at the division because conveniently there's this huge sort of like ice Atlantean abandoned mysterious city below the division. So they've all been hanging out there. I want to ask everyone, let's see. Yeah, I'd like to ask Sean, what changes have they made to the ice city down below in order to help the Halima be more comfortable there?
Well, I think that they had to install the dream tanks because the Halima still need to rest in their little regeneration dream tanks. And there was no elevator. There's this giant huge stairwell down into it made for ice giants. But when we retrofitted and made elevators, we didn't expect anything this big. And so there's still signs that we haven't fully commented them, because if you look down the giant steps down there, there's like these huge power cables that have been run down, and they're not like built into the walls yet because they were just too big. And there was a very comedic scene with like Ember holding up like one end of this giant like tube that's like 50 times bigger than her. She's like trying to take it down like a mover down the steps. Okay, on 3, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Rotate.
Rotate. Yes. Okay, twist. No, my left. My left. Anyway. Yes. So right. So they have their big regeneration tubes, and they're all safe and fine down there. But they're
Perfect. I love it. And we still have those huge like cables that are like outside,
just like, look
blinking
outside,
lights.
just these gigantic cables. They're ridiculously big. Like everything else.
Perfect. I love it so much. And I want to ask, so Civis, the maker, the one who created you,
Mhm.
so we brought him in last time.
Yep.
Where do we keep him? Like what?
Oh, yeah,
How do we-
yeah.
Because it's not safe enough for him to be anywhere else, really. We know that he was behind everything that happened. He manipulated memories. We know that he manipulated the research because he was using the Halimau and the teen pilots as research subjects along with everybody else. So
Yeah.
what
Okay,
did we do
so
with him?
I think he's in the like ultra dangerous prisoner hold, which is like drilled miles below the surface of the earth, right? And there's like one elevator shaft going in and out, and that's it. And it's just like a holding cell at the bottom. And it's I don't know, like the closer you get to the center of the earth, if it's under a glacier, so I feel like it would be cold, but I don't know, maybe it gets hotter in there. No clue. But yeah, it's like the Apocalypse Keys version of the way that they kept Magneto, right? Like this is the ultimate prisoner, so we must not give him anything that he can manipulate.
And he
Absolutely.
communicates in dreams, right? That's how he kind of like infiltrates people's minds, is through their dreams.
Mhm.
So is there some sort of like test that you have to take to make sure you're not sleepy before you go down there? Is there some like caffeine requirement
Interesting.
to go
Yeah.
visit?
Yeah, probably. There's probably what you probably have to do is you have to wear like a clip-on little zapper, right? So that way somebody can hit a button if you look like you're getting sleepy, and it like startles you awake. I'm thinking my parents have like an electric fence for their dog, which gives the dog a little zap when it goes past the thing. Ask me how I know how hard this thing zaps.
Hey Jen, how do you know how hard this thing zaps?
Because the dog escaped and I, like an idiot, carried the collar back through the perimeter and got zapped myself.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it doesn't hurt. Like it's
Right.
Yeah.
It's just shocking.
Shocking. Yeah. So I think in that the part of the reason why they have him so far down is just to get him physically away from people who are sleeping, right? Because I think it may be a little bit of a distance thing. But also, yeah, they have like multiple redundant systems to make sure anybody who brings him food or goes to check on him can't manipulate them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like there's like always there's like a small group of people watching, like keeping, they have their machinery trained on him to make sure that he's not using his abilities, to make sure that he doesn't dream, right? That he stays in like this, this strange state of just like resting, but not really dreaming. So I like that. That's very, very cool.
I mean, it's definitely possible to have dreamless states where you're kind of hopped up on enough drugs that you just don't have already.
Yeah, but then when you don't dream, your sleep is not restful.
I know, it's bad.
It's bad.
I don't know how much more to go into it, but I don't imagine his life is great right now.
Yeah, I would feel bad for him, except for all of the problems he caused himself.
Yeah,
to get himself into this mess. Yeah, I do actually think Civis visits him on the reg. Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Is the thing. I don't know how much he answers them, but
Yeah, and we know that he looks exactly like you, right? Because he made you to
Mm-hmm.
look like him. So, wow, I feel like that's such an interesting image, right? Like you showing up made of stone
Yeah.
with your broken wings. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, very cool.
That causes Ember some consternation. She is
So-
she's off put by the likeliness.
That's true. That's true. And so, what I would like to ask Celine. So, in this time, we have, one of your friends, Winter, who's a little Yeti friend. They're super scared of coffee. They love all the trinkets that you got of them. They didn't realize some of the bigger ones were things that you should not wear on your body, right?
I think once Celine realized that they were putting them on their body, she started getting like little keychains or like little like memorial spoons or something.
Something smaller that.
But the bigger ones are like one was like a snow globe.
So cute. I just love this so much. So our Yeti friend has gotten a promotion from the division, right? So Celine, what were they promoted to? Like, what's their new job at the division?
Oh, kind of wanted to be like, I don't want to say the not a Halima Wrangler, but like the psychic kids. I don't know, like maybe just like not a counselor, but just someone who keeps an eye on them. Because these are teens that are in the Arctic tundra and they don't want them going off by themselves or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure. Because even though the kids could return to having a quotation mark normal life, they still have their abilities. I would say like over time, they realize that it's very hard for them for now to exist outside of the division. Some of them are extremely sensitive to other people's thoughts and energies. So for the meantime, they're staying at the division until they can figure things out. And I think it makes a lot of sense that Winter helps them through it, right? To figure these things out.
Mm-hmm.
And we established that they like playing D&D, so I love the idea of Winter playing D&D with everybody.
I think there's one point where Selena walks in and it's all the kids playing D&D and Winter's at the tape. Like Winter's not running the game because I don't think they have I don't think they have the know-how of D&D to run the game, but I think you just see them there and then all of a sudden they just have like a little wizard hat on because one of the kids gave it to them.
So cute. I love it so much. And they're just trying to keep track of all their spell slots. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love that.
I feel like Winter tried to GM one time, and the group agreed that it would be better if somebody else GM'd that game.
And no one talks about it. We don't know what happened.
Yeah.
We just know that it didn't go well. Like every time we bring it up, the kids just sort of get this harrowed look on their faces. So which brings us to, so now let's focus closer on our division agents. So Ember and Civ, how are things going in relationship town, as Sean described it earlier?
Yeah.
It's been 6 months, right? Like, how's it going between the two of you?
I mean, I think if it wasn't real obvious before, that Ember's pretty serious about things, and she doesn't enter into relationships seriously. And she in fact asked, because this is a darkness token trigger for her. She in fact asked Civ to love her and only ever her, forever. So I think she would have popped the question, and if Civ said yes, would be doing wedding preparation. But we can certainly dial it back. From there. Like if that doesn't excite you, it doesn't have to be there. But
I want to make an addition to this.
Yes.
I want you to have popped the question and me not to have answered you yet.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
What did you say? What happened?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm excited about it and I want to say yes, but also forever is scary to me because I was under the ocean for forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'd be fairly transparent about that. I would just say like that, right?
Yeah.
Like I love you, but the idea of committing to forever with anybody is very scary, and I need to process those feelings before I can give you an enthusiastic answer.
Nice. I think Ember would be obsessively researching how immortals do this. Like, are there non-forever versions? Or like, are there like 10,000-year provisional relationships? Or
That is
like,
such an Ember thing.
like she'd be like looking for like
She's
options.
trying to fix the problem of my feelings. Is what's happening.
Exactly. She doesn't want to pressure you to say yes to something you don't feel comfortable with, so she wants to give you alternatives of, you know, maybe it could just be till the next apocalypse. Maybe it could be, you know, till one of us becomes a deity, you know, like in their own right, you know. Anyway, so I think, yeah, that sounds good. I think she'll be working away at finding those sort of
because I like the idea of like our relationship having progressed, but also that everything isn't like super perfect right now.
I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Ember, your mother, the Queen of the Cinder Throne.
Oh yeah.
Does she know about this proposal or this interest or this relationship? Or...
Technically, she is not supposed to know, but Ash knows. And Ash, because he's my brother and my counterpart in my professional work, Ash actually helped me to figure out the proposal. There was some ring, and I will tell you, this ring came from like the volcanic rock. You know, it came from some elsewhere dimension volcanic rock thing, and Ash was the one who helped me do this. So has Ash told Mom? I'm sure he has, because he's a total suck up. So I haven't told her, but I'm sure, but she definitely knows.
Absolutely. Okay. Very cool. And so I want to ask Celine, the last time that we saw your twin sister, right, who we know is also caught up in what happened to you all that time ago during the sacrifice to the volcano, and is caught up in your destiny to be the Queen of Monsters, very big stuff, right? But your sister took part of your power and sacrificed herself to make sure that the Rift portal would close. Have you had any communication with her since then? Or do you feel like what evidence do you have that she's still alive, or what's going on the other side?
I don't. Just trying to think if Celine would have reached out, because this is all sort of like new to her. Like, oh, I have a sister. Oh, she sacrificed herself. Oh, okay, goodbye. Like maybe
it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot in a short amount of time. I think she does try to reach out on like occasionally. We'll try to, you know, just see what's going on or see if we can get communication or anything like that.
Yeah, and I feel like, because I'm looking at the power set that you have in particular, I think maybe you've been getting signs, like, because you have Angelic Fury and Beauty and Celine. We have to give your sister a new name because it's also Celine, but like, probably something that also starts with S. But she's been sending you signs, I think, like, but she hasn't been able to talk to you directly yet. You know that she's trying to, get to the other side, but she's trying to keep the barrier safe, right? She's trying to make sure that the rift is not going to open again. Yeah. Which brings us to, actually, so Ember, you have a new job, right? Mm-hmm. You are the liaison. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So when the rift closed, we realized that there was a problem, which was that all the Halima were on this side of the rift, and they're permanently cut off from their home dimension, or not permanently cut off, but there's no visible way to get them back. And they have chosen to live here in order to stop the big rift monster from exploding. But now that's no longer a threat. Their families miss them, and they have even bigger Halima in alternate dimensions that want to see them. And so I think Division has figured out the big threat is that if we open up another rift big enough for Halima to pass through, it would tear one that we could never close again. So Division has figured out how to make this very small rift. It's not even a doorway. It's like a window that Ember can kind of like tuck and dive roll through right now. That's the biggest rift. That's the biggest rift that is like safe to open that won't get out of control. And Ember is going back and forth between the realms as the appointed liaison to the Halima to try and connect the families together and let them know what's going on. And her counterpart is her brother Ash, who's doing penitence for his like attempt to usurp, everything, Mom and everyone else. And so Ash is being punished with this. Ember doesn't view hers as a punishment per se, but she, they both commiserate a little bit over like this being their new job. And they have to try and figure out a way for the families to talk and hopefully eventually a way for the Halima to, if not go home forever, at least be able to return when they want to.
Okay, so I think with that in mind, I'd love to start this season by having like a few scenes for our characters. So I want to ask Ember, you've been invited for dinner at home with Mom, and you have to bring your brother, of course.
Yeah.
But your mother has specifically asked for you to bring Civ.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, I think. Do you want to just start the scene with Civ there, or do you want to start the scene with Ember asking Civ to Jen? Are you cool with Civ?
Oh, good question.
We could certainly flash back to the request.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so we are having the meet the parents moment. I think we have this like ridiculously like long black burnt table that has all of these like candles on it, and they're all burning at different lengths, and like engraved in the wax are faces of demons that have been bound in them. They're not particularly scary or anything like that. They're just that's Fred the Fire Lord, whatever. He's just bound there for eternity.
I mean, Civ experienced the dreams of humans for 1,000 years, so like it's gonna take some more than candles to scare me.
Oh yeah. No, I mean this is definitely not. This is definitely just ambiance. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe Mom is trying to pull out all the stops to make it extra scary. But there's two seats. There's a seat on either end. There's Mom's end, which is a throne, like her throne kind of. It's modeled after the throne, the Cinder throne itself,
like a smaller-ish
like
version.
a mini version of the Cinder throne, right? And then there's Dad's end, which is just conspicuously empty, but it's served. Like we act like he's there. Like they put the food there. No one eats it. They put the food there, and then they clear the plates at the end, and they serve, and he gets poured a glass of wine. Like we all know Dad's around. He just isn't well, and so can't be there. And so we act like.
I'm sure I asked some awkward questions about that. Like, who are we waiting for?
Yeah. No one. Nope. We're all here. Because we know my dad's sick and in some sort of intubator. So that's, and I think there's also just like random like house toadies always around. Like there's lots and lots of Mom's peeps.
Absolutely. And so I think like on one wall, like it's just completely covered almost every inch in weapons from the foes that your mother and father have vanquished over the years, the realms that they have claimed, and those trophies there on one side, and the candlelight is flickering on the metals on that side of the wall. And there are servants who wait around, but they're all just like and this is based on something I saw in real life. Like I had to sit through this. But anyway, they're like in the corners, just standing there face down, all veiled and covered. And just when they've been trained to respond to just the moments you start to think you need something. Then one of them will start moving towards you to offer you whatever it is you need. And you know that your mother is speaking to them, but when she talks, her mouth opens and you don't hear anything, and you sense that they're talking back, but they're talking in a language that you can't hear. And at one point, your mother says, "Oh, Civ, no, of course not. She says, talking to one of the servants. Yes, we'll attend to that later." And she turns to you, looks at you, Ember. She hasn't talked to Civ the whole time, right? She's like not allowed her eyes to like graze at that moment. I think by this point, though, that your brother actually, Ash, has mellowed out over these last 6 months. He's still annoying, right? He's still a jerk. But he likes Civ, right? So he's been talking to Civ. But your mom, on the other hand, just looks at you pointedly. "So, Ember, have they promoted you at work yet?"
And she sits up. I mean, as if Ember didn't ever sit straight in her chair. Like, of course she was already straight, but like she like straightens up, like even more so, like sets her fork down exactly so, and says, "I'm sure Ash has told you." She temples her fingers and says, "I'm sure Ash has told you that I have been made the liaison to this realm, such that the Halima may make communication with their familial bonds, something we all agree are very important to maintain and develop our familial bonds." And then she just like points a look across the table at Ash, like, what is up with her? Like, why is she being so weird? And then just looks back at her mom.
And like Ash, like this, the tired shrug in response. And your mom says, "Oh, so I see you take the division so seriously, my dear, but they don't seem to take you very seriously, do they?"
She's looking now at her mom like, how can you be saying this? You're ignoring my girlfriend. What?
I was gonna say this whole time, like, I'm just eating my food. She's trying to like slight me by not looking at me, but like either I don't notice or I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I'm just having a nice dinner at my girlfriend's parents' house.
But Ember super notices and is super annoyed and is like, but she has to obey. She's been trained at least to obey a very strict decorum. So like she's very upset, but isn't pulling like knives and daggers off the wall and jumping on her mom, which,
is there like a pile of like knives and daggers at the like by the bottom of your chair?
I know it's probably just hear a clink. There's like another one just like manifests next to her and then falls to the ground. Like it just like lands on top of the other one that was there. Like she just subconsciously manifests knives, right? Anyway, and she says, "Yes, I take my responsibilities very seriously, and division, as I just articulated, Mother, has in fact promoted me for my excellence in preventing the last breach that would have ruptured our reality as we know it. I'm sure you're familiar with that breach, having been its author."
That was such a long time ago, dear. A distraction at best, she says. And she puts down her utensils and she looks at you and she says, "You've gotten rather soft, haven't you? When was the last time you were in a real fight, my dear?"
Not counting this one. She sort of she like says, but then it like almost like immediately recovers and says, "Thankfully the oracles have not predicted anything recently, and I've been able to spend my efforts rehabilitating my wayward brother, and we've done much good together. So far, we've delivered several messages back and forth, and the Halima would-be world-destroying creatures are actually getting to meet their family, who they like. I know, it's impossible to imagine."
I'm imagining all of this in Ember's voice, and it's amazing. In her like serious dramatic voice.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
so
I
like
will try to emberify. It's
Yeah,
hard.
no,
It takes.
no, yeah.
no, don't worry, we're building up to it. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And so I think at this point, that's when you get a message. How do you receive messages from the division if it's like an emergency?
Well, there might be conventional ways in I think there might be conventional ways on Earth, but here there's definitely a pearl that starts smoking in Ember's pocket, and if she doesn't pull it out, it'll catch on fire, and she just has to like pull it out and put it on the table, and then like a smoky image appears, and that's how they can speak through the realms.
Perfect. And so through the smoke, through the ash, you see a very worried Arctis who says, Ember, Civ, I understand that you are, and then he turns over to look at your mother and, Queen of the Cinder Throne, thank you so much for your continued relationship with the division. And she nods, Arctis, how are you doing? Did you get the singing bowls I sent over, my dear? And he nods in response before he goes to look at you again at Ember, and he says,
Arctis, is this an important mission critical event? Do you need Civ and Ember to report to division immediately? Is there imminent threats? Have the oracles raised the alarm? She's like getting more and more like fervent as she.
I think Ash snickers at that. Like at how eager you are to escape.
Like, and this time she summons a big old sword, and it's like in her hand. She's like, "Do you need my sword? It is at your ready." And then sort of sets it down on top of the others.
And Arctis says, well, actually, that's what I wanted to call you about. One of the oracles will need you and Civ right here, right now, to check what the problem is.
We will not delay. The fate of the world rests upon our shoulders. And like, yeah, I don't know if Civ is just, I don't know if you just continued to be like, yep, this is good eats. I mean, it's.
I think so. Yeah.
She turns to you and says, I'm so sorry to interrupt our meal. But as you have heard, we must attend our duties. And she's totally not looking at her mom at all. She is just like looking at Civ right now for like, okay, to like, let's.
Yeah, and I think at that point, that's when your mom finally looks at Civ and says, oh, my dear, before you go, I have a present for you. And she motions for you to come closer.
I come closer, probably like an idiot.
There's a big screech as Ember's chair like screeches. Like Ember goes like to sit up, and it's like, as the chair screeches on the floor.
Like it reverberates throughout this huge room.
Yeah, it's really loud.
And so, Civ, as you step closer, the queen is suddenly right next to you, but you didn't even see her move. And she has this beautiful necklace in her hands. Ember, you recognize that this necklace used to belong to your father.
Mm.
And so she looks at you, Civ, and she says, may I? To motion that she's going to put it around your neck.
Of course. What can go wrong?
And so she places the necklace around you, smooths it down, looks at you, and it's this beautiful, like it brings to mind like a Victorian era kind of thing, like where there's like a silhouette and there's this beautiful design around it, but the silhouette tends to shift and move into different people, into different faces.
Neat.
And she looks at you and she says, yes, most becoming. And she places a hand on your cheek almost affectionately. And she smiles and she says, I apologize for my daughter. I know she can get quite difficult, but take your time. There's no rush to answer. You'll have to think this through.
I feel like there's I feel like all the things that my mom has done up till now don't violate any kind of her own rules. But there's something about touching someone's face that is betrothed to another that somehow this opens up a gap. And in Ember's reactions, that Ember grabs her mom's wrist and like peels it away from Civ's hand, and she says, "Civ is a member of Division and my beloved, not one of your playthings." And then she like lets go, which it's like, don't you try like mind controlling. like she's got a huge arsenal of powers, right? Like
Sure.
don't you try pulling on these mammies. And only because she's like done this can Ember officially take action against her, and it's only to be able to pull her hand away. But she is just, but she just ends as not your plaything, which isn't meant to sound kinky or anything like that, but like maybe.
And so when you do that, your mother looks like, when someone's been caught doing something bad and they have this affronted, like, excuse me.
Fake outrage.
Yeah, there you go. The fake outrage. And, but she smiles a little and she says, well, Ember, make sure that your father will be here to greet your, what is it called? Girlfriend. So, same time next week?
And Ember is just like grinding her molars and and then like does like an actual bow, like bows to her mother as you do, and is like, we would be delighted to it, and kind of wants to make sure Civ is cool with this. She doesn't want to speak for
yeah.
Civ. And then when she sees your nod, it's like, we accept your formal invitation and would be delighted to be received by your company again in the week to follow. I think Ember is way more formal than her mom is, but like it's her mom's purview to not be formal. It's not Ember's purview. She doesn't have that option.
Yeah, and with that, Ash comes over and bows in the same way to your mother and then says, okay, let's go, like pushing the both of you towards the awaiting portal. And so as you leave, you can see like all of the servants that were just silently there along the sides just start moving closer towards your mother, as if like forming a circle around her, and she just waves goodbye as the two of you leave.
Yeah.
I think as soon as we go through the portal, like Ember's trying to take the necklace off Civ, right? And I'm like kind of sad about it because it's pretty.
Yeah. I think I feel like it's an interesting plot element that I don't want to, even though Ember is like, this is a terrible idea. Oh, look, we have
oh no,
spammers. Yay. I need to get in there so I can block them. Sorry, folks.
One of the few things you can't do from StreamYard.
Exactly. I don't know why I can't kill folks in StreamYard or in StreamYard. But let's just ban away. Okay. Goodbye. Whoa, Berlin 43. Sean is really interested in seeing what happens when you keep it. So I don't think Ember's gonna like take it off you, but she's like,
okay.
She's like, that was my father's, and probably a portentous. Actually, I don't think she mentioned it was her father. She said that necklace is a family heirloom and probably portentous of my mother's might. She may use it to exert her will. She could have surreptitious intentions. She might. It may cause you harm.
I think Civ looks sad, and she's like, "Do you think I should take it off?"
I would not want to speak for you or tell you what you should do. I just want you to know the possibilities. She's very uncomfortable.
Yep, love it.
And brother, you do not need to push me. I am quite ready to make haste to be away from there.
And with that, Ash just like rolls his eyes, and he he pulls the two of you the rest of the way through the portal.
Nice.
And so with that, we cut to Celine. And Celine, you are already there at the place where the oracles are at. So what is this place? What does it... So we know we have 5 oracles, right? And what does this place look like? Like, is it like a Minority Report situation where they're always connected in some way? Or is it more casual than that?
I was like, yeah, I was thinking like, it's kind of like the technology and like prophecy mix, like Minority Report in a way. I don't really remember Minority Report, but I remember the prophets sort of like just like laying there, like, the heads towards the center, like in a circle. And like there's a central node and they're all connected to it or something like that. And
Yeah. Would you like to build from that idea? Like they're all floating in this way?
yeah. They're all wearing like this same sort of like division, like jumpsuits. I don't know what the division colors are. I think they're like gray. I feel like the division is very gray.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like a gray with just blue accents, if ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's a very like white room. Like it's very well lit, LED paneling's like all around, so it's a very well lit, bright white room. And there's always a constant hum of like the just electronical buzz from the main node.
Perfect. And then I like the idea, like maybe the node, it's covered in ice, that same strange ice from down below that's connected to that ancient city. So it's connected somehow to that power, but you don't really know how the technology...
Maybe it goes all the way down, like...
Oh, yeah.
And the ice just comes up at this point.
Very cool. So
Nice.
There's supposed to be 5 of them, right? 5 oracles. But the thing is, you notice that there's one pod, there's one part of the pool that's empty. And you see Winter there looking forlorn. Like they're just there like touching the water, right, over and over again. And they look at you really sadly. And they say, Celine, there's something wrong, friend, hurt, bad dream bad.
Where did they take them?
And Winter just points at the water.
And I think Celine's gonna walk up and look down into the water.
And you sort of... And then that's when Arctis appears behind you. And he says, well, I'm glad you could make it here quickly, Celine. We replayed the footage and we don't really understand what happened. And so he pulls it up on a screen nearby and he plays it back. And you can see that it looks like, you could tell like the Oracle was like out of sync with the other ones and started thrashing in the water like they were having a nightmare or something, while the others just slept peacefully. And just as the others were starting to wake up, this Oracle started to like disappear into the water, like they were melting into it.
Do we know where they are now? Are they down there?
And Arctis says, I've already contacted Civ and Ember, mostly because Civ would help, but Ember would try to help. But mainly Civ should be able to help. But I'm glad that you're here as well.
I am too. I think she's gonna keep looking down at the water and probably like reach down to touch it, just at the surface. Just her fingertips just like lightly touching the surface. How does the water, like, is it like, does it feel like a very like buoyant salty water where they're easily floating on, or is it more of just a plain water?
Oh yeah, it's definitely like those, like, what do they call those?
Depression tanks?
Chambers. Yeah, where the salt content is so high and people just naturally... Yeah, it definitely feels like that. You can feel your hand like being pushed back against by the buoyancy of it. So, but when you touch the water, you get this sensation of like a voice just tickling at the edge of your mind.
I'm gonna stick my hand further in.
Absolutely. And so as you stick your hand further and you see the water starts to react, like it starts circling around your arm, like it's almost like an insect or a worm as it's trying to find something as it
Okay.
reaches up, and you the voice starts becoming a little louder, and you just hear the words over and over again. Oracalis, 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 are you there?
And I think that's when she's gonna turn to oh shoot, what's the bear's name? Articus?
Artis.
Artis. And she's like, who's Orcalis?
So he is a polar bear, but if polar bears could get suddenly very pale,
His fur went snow white, like
right? Like you see his shoulders stiffen, right? And his like everything just freezes for a moment, and his eyes get a little closed, and he says, "Celine, I think perhaps it would be safer if you stepped away from the water." And he's very protective. He's very worried for you, and he says, "We haven't. That's a name we haven't heard for a long time."
and I think she'll start pulling her hand out of the water in that meantime, and takes a step back and just wipes it on her leg just to to dry it off.
You notice though, as you pull it off, the water starts immediately evaporating. Like it doesn't even stay on your skin properly.
Oh, I thought you're like at first I thought you were talking about like in the tub. It just starts evaporating. I'm like, oh no, I broke it.
No. You're good.
Is it,
No, I will say, like as you say, like as you pull away, Arctis looks at you for a moment, and they say, "So you don't remember? Perhaps it's for the best."
I don't remember what.
And at that moment, I think that's when Civ and Ember walk in, along with Ash. Ash is there, but you can tell he looks a little nervous being in this area. Like he looks at you, Ember. Oops, sorry. He looks at you, Ember, and he says, I really don't like this place. It's creepy. I'll see you later, sister. And don't worry about Mother. I'll talk to her," he says. And he's trying to act like the older brother. He's trying to act like very mature and helpful here. So, but he's...
but she also knows that he's clearly given away everything, like totally like spilled the beans because of this whole thing that Mom said. She's like, "Oh, I'm sure you will speak with our mother, creator and harbinger of all. Watch your words, brother. Do them, speak carefully." And which is just to say, like, okay, I'll see you later.
And I think past all that, with Ember's intensity, I think Celine just sort of like peeks over and just gives a wave to Ash.
Poor Ash. He has to deal with his really uptight sister all the time.
But yeah, so Civ, this is not the first time that you've been here. I'm going to say, like, as the Found, someone with powers of telepathy and dream walking, you're probably here very often and very connected to the Oracle. So who's the one that's missing? Like, how are they different from the other Oracles?
Yeah, how are they different? I think it's actually the youngest Oracle. I think that there's sort of a history, and there's almost always been 5 of them, but for a while, maybe like 500 years ago or something, there was 4. Something happened to the 5th one, and the one that's missing now is the new 5th one.
So this is not the first time that the 5th one has disappeared.
Yeah. I think the last time the 5th one actually left, I don't think there was like a disappearance. I think she quit.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot.
And maybe even the other 4 saw it coming and were like, cool, have a nice life. I don't know. But I think
maybe they didn't get along really well with the other one.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe they just needed a change of scenery. Who knows? But yeah, I think the different part this time is that the other 4 didn't see the 5th one disappearing, right? So
Absolutely. And so, Civ, as soon as you walk in, because you can always sense like the surface thoughts, and these ones are very loud. Like the other oracles, even though they're asleep and dreaming, you can tell that they're all searching and trying to figure out what happened. And there's this sense of like growing unease and panic. What do you do?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. What do I do? Looking at my moves.
Can I assert a thing
Yeah.
here? I think the oracles, it's kind of like their full-time job to be like forestalling apocalypses, right? Like to be like predicting them. So I feel like in searching for what happened to their missing 5th, they're kind of not doing, like we all know, it's not that we're going to tell them, no, get back to work, but they're kind of not doing their main job as they are frantically trying to figure out what happened, right? Like they can't see, they're not looking to the futures that they necessarily normally would be. I think that just adds to the overall panic and tension of the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna say like there are all these other like subtle screens that like keep track of the visions that they have and like the images that they see, and you can see like they're all just like fritzing, they're all just focused on that one missing oracle. Yeah, and Arctis looks unhappy because they turn to you, Civ, and they say, "This, I don't want to. I feel maybe our guest, and that's what he calls your creator, may have been, if not directly behind this, then perhaps." And this is because, like, I mean, the Arctis revealed to you like months ago that your creator helped the oracles like become a part of the division, like help them reach their power level.
Okay, gotcha.
And so ever since ever since Arctis realized that connection, they've been very, very paranoid that there must be something going on. So you don't know if it's like, that's what Arctis feels. You don't know if your creator is really connected to any of this, but there's that's his theory, that's his assumption.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I want to try out this new move because it's freaky and I think it will freak Ember out and it'll be a lot of fun. Excuse me. I want to use out a Man of 1,000 Faces. So I'm going to change my face. You've learned how to reflect the thoughts and memories of others to help them see who they wish to see. When you allow your form to fluctuate and take on the face of another, spend darkness tokens and roll. One of the options I maybe can take is you gain the memories and thoughts of whoever you look like. So I'm going after trying to gain the thoughts and memories of the missing oracle, right?
Ooh, nice. I love it.
So I only have 1 darkness token, and also I need to click on the die roller thing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Do we have... I just realized, did I forget to put in a room? Ooh, I forgot to put in a room. I knew I forgot something. Let me quickly create one for all of us.
Jen, before you do it, do you think that you are doing any of the things that would gain you darkness tokens, such as feeling frustrated or scared, reacting with uncertainty or cowardice, asking someone to...
I don't actually think so. I'm not scared yet. I'm not reacting with uncertainty or cowardice. I don't have any wisdom to offer just yet. So yeah, but thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh no!
We did lose a Jamie.
Did lose a Jamie.
Oh no!
I was concerned that I think we're getting a Jamie back.
I was trying to just click on private chat and it hit the like login button.
Oh
okay.
no.
Because they're so close to each other. Like, okay.
Well, thankfully, in StreamYard, the world does not explode when someone is
Yeah.
cleared, so
Yeah, exactly.
not a problem.
Just pop back in. So I put the link in our chat, but I'm also going to put it
Oh, cool.
in our actual. So it's the room is called Apocalypse Kisses.
I like that.
Ooh, and Roll With Me got a facelift.
They
It
sure did.
It has an X card now. Excuse me.
Yeah. John's been working really hard.
Wait, who did this? What is this from? Like,
Oh yeah, so John Grimm has been working on this dice room for like I want to say like it's been a few months now. It's like a side project. We really love it on the Gauntlet. It's like super useful.
Okay, so I'm going to spend my 1 darkness token. All right, I'm going to switch over to this and add +1. And then I'm going to hit roll. And I got a 10, which is not what I was going for. That's okay. Yeah, cool. So, oh no, 10 is fine.
Yeah, 10 is fine.
Yeah,
10
10
is
is
fine.
okay.
Just-
11 plus
just
is
exactly.
Gotcha,
is
gotcha,
zone.
gotcha.
So you
Okay.
just hit it. Perfect.
Okay, so I get to choose 2. One of which will be you gain the memories and thoughts of whoever you look like.
Perfect.
I think. Ooh, I don't think I'm going to be inconspicuous or easily underestimated. I think this shape and form is stable and will last for as long as I can concentrate on maintaining it. I don't think I've done this in front of Ember before. I think this has been a thing I've been sort of working on my own. And maybe I've talked to Ember about it a little bit, but I don't think you've ever seen it before.
Do you, in order to like get connection with the Oracle, do you like touch the basin or put your hand in the water or do anything like to connect?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool. Just tell me when you're ready to cue Ember's incredible, obscene overreaction. I don't want to stomp on your thing. Like Ember will definitely overreact in a way.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
ridiculous.
Okay, so I want to resolve the move first because all this is happening in my head, basically. So, and then we'll have the chef kiss overreaction, which I'm looking forward to.
Perfect. But yeah, so you said that you wanted to gain the memories and thoughts of whoever you look like.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so as you connect to it, you can, for a moment in your mind, I think this is when we see like time freeze for everyone else except you, right? And we see time move backwards and we see them reform in the water and we see them step out of the water and they walk towards you. And it's like kind of like if this was filmed, there are like lots of cuts, like suddenly they're like right in front of you. Like we don't see the in-between. And they touch your face in a very similar way to the way that Ember's mom did. And the Oracle, they have these wide, large white eyes, white hair, very pale skin, but they have a very kind face, right? And like you said, they're the youngest among the Oracles. And they look at you and they say, Civ, if you're here, that means it hasn't taken all of me yet. And then the time starts to shift again, right? And you realize like she's trying to reach out and connect to you through her thoughts and memories, right? In the current time, but then that connection weakens and it goes back. She goes back into the water. You see her being fully formed, and then you see the memories play out as you see like all the oracles, like one by one, you see the screen start to flicker as all of them start to see the same vision, one after the other. So first it's like this old house, like made of stone and brick, a huge mansion, actually, like a huge gate out in the front. And then you see like in the front, it's been abandoned, like the garden has been overgrown. And you can see like a lot of the bushes have been, like the rose bushes have been completely overtaken by their thorns. And it just looks absolutely abandoned. And you can see like the door has been crushed open. And there's someone by the door, has a very haunted look on their face, like deep sunken eyes, long black hair, wearing this dirty white dress. And they look outside the door and you hear them say, do we do we have to? And this plays out all throughout
Mm-hmm.
the screens. But Orcalis, I don't know. And then there's this deep, deep voice from within the house that says, it's the only way. The end of days. We must make sure that we are in charge of them. If there must be an apocalypse, it must be on our own terms. And then for a moment, we see there's this huge shadowy figure behind this little girl. And she looks at him, and she looks like she's like a older teenager. She looks at him and she says, no, I won't let you. And then the door slams shut. And then as the screens flicker, we can see for a moment your creator's face, your face on the screen, one after another, just showing up, just looking towards the screen, and then looks towards you, and you hear his voice say, now, Civ, what are you going to do about it?
Civ, I open my eyes and cue Ember's overreaction.
Nice. So Ember saw you touch the pool.
Yep.
Stand up, transform to take the shape of the Oracle,
Mhm.
and has mistaken all of this to be the Oracle has possessed you, consumed you, swapped places with you,
Aw.
taken over you. And so
Can I add to that, just to
Yeah.
add to your paranoia, that the necklace is like glowing, right?
Perfect. Yeah, she thinks this is all her mother's doing. And so she, flaming hair and all, her deadly flaming hair, dives into this basin, screams. You can see the bubbles coming up from it. She's screaming to bring her beloved back. And she says that she'll tear every part of this world apart if it means to find Civ again. And I think she's gonna like slam with her colossal strength, like slam her fingers into the bottom of the basin and start trying to like rip it apart, like digging into the earth. This is bad. It's
Is there steam coming up too? Because all your
Oh.
fire.
Yeah, it's steaming horribly.
I
So
think after you get like your first handful of chunks of stone,
yeah,
you feel my hand on your wrist, like trying to stop you, and maybe sucking out a little bit of that power so that you don't continue to
so that I
do
don't
damage to this.
destroy the basin.
Yeah.
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 I think that's good. I am going to take. I'm doing this very. I'm going to take 4 darkness tokens for feeling abandoned,
Oh.
and because yes, well, I'm also overreacting with violence. I'm doing both things, but I feel
You feel
most
it's more like the other one.
that
Yeah,
I am
makes sense.
that I'm abandoned, and I think there's like a good. I feel like there's a decent amount of damage done, even with the one
Yeah.
punch, with the one like tear. When you pull her, do you have your face again, or do you still look like
I look like Civ again. Yeah.
you look like Civ again? Okay.
Yeah.
She throws herself at your ankles, drenched, wraps her arms around your legs, and says, and shudders, like she's not shivering that she's cold, she's shivering out of fear, and she shudders. I thought they had taken you away from me. I thought they had taken you forever. And that was not a world, and this was not a world I could live in without you. And then she sort of like looks the carnage that she's done and like doesn't honestly care that much. Like she knows it's bad, she's gonna get in trouble, but like she's just like squeezing your ankles. I just read the Odyssey. They do this a lot.
Yeah, no. I feel like to a point, this is sort of the cost of business of having Ember around, right? Like just collateral damage to the structure.
Yeah. Things just get broken sometimes.
Yeah.
Can I take 3 points for being overwhelmed in his presence?
Please go ahead and pick up your darkness tokens. Yeah, thank
you know, you're stone, right? And you have the stability of stone. So she like climbs up you. Like she has her arms wrapped around you, and then she like slowly climbs up you. And once she gets like her
Yeah.
knees, then she can kind of stand. She doesn't really need to pull you up. And she just like holds your cheeks in her
Mhm.
hands. And all of the water that was off of her, she's just evaporating off because her hair is just sort of like flaming in all the heat. And it's just like so elated that you're you and you're okay. And and then doesn't hold it for too long. Well, probably does hold it for too long. Probably holds it like a couple seconds too long. You're like, it's okay, I'm all right.
Yeah.
And then lets go and realizes that she's probably caused yet another overreaction, but it doesn't matter. You're here. She doesn't know how it happened, if what she did anything or not. She's just very happy that you're back.
Aww.
And so when that happens, I'm going to say, like, the three of you look back towards the pool where the oracles are, and from that huge eruption with steam and water and all of that, you realize like all of that water and steam is frozen in the air, like as if it hadn't fully moved. Civ, it's very much like the memories you were accessing. Like time is breaking down in a weird way in this area. And you see the oracles are in the middle of like, their faces are like, oh shit, Ember's doing it again. Like they were waking up from their state, and they're all frozen, right? So the other four are in various states of like trying to leave the pool of water. And so Arctis looks at the three of you and looks at Ember and doesn't know if they should be upset or not, or if this, and then the thing is, everything starts to fluctuate in the room. Like you can feel time like breaking down. And Arctis says, this place, it's been compromised. And his overprotective polar bearness starts to, come back, and he starts pushing all three of you towards the door. This is, no matter how powerful you are, we shouldn't be in this place. And it starts to, but he's looking at the oracles and he's looking at the three of you, and you realize he's thinking about trying to jump in to try to protect and rescue the oracles if he can. He's powerful, but he's also just a polar bear. I'm going to point that out.
Right.
Like
right.
his real strength is his administrative skills. He just happens to be a polar bear.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what do you do?
I mean,
Like
I don't think
Celine
I'd want
or-
to leave the oracles. If the place is in like physical danger, I would want to bring the oracles out too.
I think Celine's going to be like, what do you need from me? Just let me protect them if you need me to protect them. And I think that's going to go into my Gathering Darkness tokens. But I'm only taking 2, but I'm already at 5 now.
Don't worry.
It says
So,
after a move if you're at 5 or more. So is there a move? Is there a move you want to spend those tokens on right now?
Let's see here real quick. I got too many.
You can just go to 5 and become torn between. That's
just like about an hour and a half into this.
I should probably take a break after this. But
yeah, actually, do we want to take a break here while we think about what's going to
Yeah,
happen?
let's do
and
that,
come
yeah.
back to it? Yeah, so I want to say, like, at that moment, Celine, you turn, like, what do you need from me? And we can see the darkness, right, rising within you. Okay, very good. And we'll
He's
take
a
our
mess.
break here. You have to rise up to Ember's level, so,
yeah. I mean, Ember just causes collateral damage. I think you cause, World Rift kind of damage. So we're on different scales. Ember's definitely gonna like hold a beam from collapsing. You're gonna probably hold the universe from shifting out of phase. Anyway, we'll all be back in a few minutes. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us.